Hi, I'm Flarebear. This is my submission for Hat in Time 90% for SGDQ 2018. I should start off by noting that this game is pretty much universally run on the built-in in-game timer, which explains first of all why my estimate is over 10 minutes above my PB on speedrun.com. And the other thing is that the timer for the game doesn't start when I load up this file, it starts afterwards whenever it finishes loading the first cutscene. For the sake of running a marathon run, it's hard because you would have to manually start the timer whenever the loading finishes, which is random. So, for that purpose, I can just say that we'd start it here, and that should be fine. So, 3, 2, 1, go. So this category is pretty much just to do 25 fast levels, collect 25 timepieces, and it makes the routing pretty straightforward because there's really no way around it. That's what you have to do, unlock the finale, and the finale is the way that you beat the game. So starting off this level, I'm going to grab 2 yarn balls, which are collectibles that are found around this game, that you collect to make hats that give you your different abilities. I'm going to get 2 right at the start, because that's enough to give me the sprint hat, which is the most important thing I'll get all game. It unlocks all of my movement, options, and exploits, and lets me do a bunch of skips that I'll be explaining later. So as I make the hat, it does this little cutscene with Hat Kid on the front of your screen making the hat. And I play it at the same time as the timepiece spawning cutscenes, so that we don't have to wait for it to finish, basically. And the reason I grabbed those 5 pawns around that fountain before grabbing the timepiece is because I want to go to outer space before doing Barrel Battle, which costs 5 pawns to unlock. So, the reason that it's better to do that, instead of getting faster pawns than the one around that fountain, is because there are a lot of yarn in this level. So I'm going to be doing kind of the same thing I did in the first one. It's not really that much yarn that you can grab quickly in Barrel Battle. So I'm going to grab 4 more before going to the objective, and that's going to give me enough to make the brewing hat, which saves time in Barrel Battle, so that's why it's important to have right before it. That was weird. I missed the umbrella. Kind of sloppy movement. I'm gonna purposely, intentionally take damage, from that bird right there. Basically what I did, I just opened that vault to get that yarn, only collecting 2 tickets, even though it requires 3. All there is to it is that grabbing certain collectibles in this game, while an iframe from taking damage, will give you 2 of them. And that'll be more important in a couple levels. There'll be a much more important instance of ticket duping. And once again, I play this hat crafting cutscene on another cutscene. And that is almost half the yarn that we'll be grabbing the entire run. We get it so early on because the abilities of these hats are so important. And the rest of this is pretty much an auto-scroller. The main important thing being how many pawns he drops each time I scare him. $32 is a good amount. Definitely above average. And the reason I watch stuff like that is because there are more levels like this one that cost pawns to unlock, except later on with larger amounts like 100 and 150. And so it's good to be watching out for how many you have so that you don't get to the level with not enough and have to backtrack or have too many pawns. Or like waste extra time grabbing that you don't need, basically. And now we're gonna have the brewing hat for this level, which you'll see why is important. The fight with these 5 MAFI guys is made a lot easier by having it. Doing that dive boost off the roof is normally at such a height that if you landed on the ground from there, that you would stumble onto the floor and have to get up and keep going, but if before you land you follow an NPC and try to land on their head, if you bounce off of it you can just immediately dive again like that, and it saves a little time. So once we take care of those 4 guys, this 5th one is going to throw barrels at me for nearly 45 seconds, and I can literally just stand right here, and I won't get hit for the entire fight until he decides to come down. So, during this time, I can do things like dive into it to show this little funny animation. Or I can switch hats to the music, stuff like that. I can blow kisses at the camera, do other taunts. The main thing during this time is this would be probably the best time to introduce the couch if it hadn't been done, or mainly read donations. You could probably fit in 2 or 3 here, depending on how they are. After this one, he's finally going to come down. I can snipe him as he's walking down to initiate the fight with him a little bit earlier. And that's it. So after this level fades out, it's going to play a little cutscene. I could just buffer start and quit out of it like that. You don't miss anything from skipping that cutscene, and there's only one more of them like that, and it's at the end of the level that I'm entering right now. Basically, it's Mustache Girl, hey, you saved me, let's be a team, be friends, and go take down the Mafia. So that's what we're gonna go do right now. If you swing the umbrella in just that position, you can get the hit on both of them at the same time like that. It's a little precise, but it's not that bad. And loses like less than a second to miss. And until I get to the throne room in this level, everything is really self-explanatory and there's not much to say about it. So maybe 1 or 2 donations could be fit in here. Because there's not really a lot of talking going on here. Unlock the key. Missed a pawn there. That should not happen. Alright, and I'm pretty good on pawns right now. So that was fight skip. That was the thing I was talking about was important in the throne room. Right now, we are jumping over a cutscene trigger and a fight trigger. And that saves around 5 or 6 seconds, just because it takes a decent amount of time to set up and do, but doing it the normal way is just that much longer. That skips a little mini-boss fight and a short cutscene. This boss is pretty easy to execute. The main thing about it is the RNG. Every time he roars like that, or does the sandbag attack like that, it loses a little bit of time for each of them. And you can count them if you want in your runs, but he can do anywhere from 2 to 4 to each of them. So 2 and 2 is the best RNG with a 9% chance, and the worst chance is that he does each of them 4 times. And the difference between those two is about 14 seconds, so that's how many seconds are up to the game's mercy. And now there's going to be a really big skip with the brewing hat. This is going to be basically the last hit of the fight because there is a quick kill, just like most bosses in the game. This boss has a quick kill. So make sure he's on the left side of the room when he starts his Mafia Ball phase. Hug the right wall with the brewer hat. He jumps over, knocks us into him, and then he's out. That's it. It's a pretty huge time save. There's another cutscene. Deal with it the same way. So now I should explain the most important movement exploit that I'm going to be doing with the sprint hat a ton throughout the run. And it's an STJ, or sprint double jump. So when you're sprinting with the sprint hat and you jump, you get 1 high speed jump, and then your dive. And that's all you have access to in the air before you touch the ground again. If you're not sprinting, you're just walking, then you get a jump and a double jump, and then your dive. If you're sprinting, let go of sprint, jump like 1 or 2 frames after, then you get the sprint speed, but with both of your jumps, and it allows me to make it really far and make things like this possible. So I make it so far in the air with that I can land low enough under the ticket that I can grab it before my iframe from the fall damage ran out. So then I land on that torch, and in the iframes from that I grab that ticket. So we've completed it in only 2 tickets, so it makes that level pretty fast. And I'm at 95 pawns, which is a pretty good amount entering sewers. The reason it matters is because sewers is the last level before heating up Mafia Town, which costs 100 pawns to enter, so if you're too low, you're going to have some backtracking to do. Now I have enough pawns that I can just grab a few quick ones, and then slide right into the time rift. And the last one is right here. And that was a good entrance. So now, in this rift, I'm gonna go for a fast cycle, so I need to make sure I have good movement here, or I'll miss it. Oops, I went a little too far with the dive boost there and fell off. That is what the cycle looks like though. So that was fine. And at the end of every rift you get a roulette, which is a thing that gives you cosmetic items or CDs, which are the important parts. Okay, so if it gives you an item other than a color or a sprint hat item, you want to deny it, because then when you respawn back in the spaceship, you're gonna have to switch hats if you put on a brewing hat cosmetic. I'll explain why CDs are the important part of that roulette when I get one.
Look at mess.
My text wasn't matching for a minute, whatever. So, okay, got that dive boost there, that's a little hard. But I grabbed the ledge, okay. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to dive boost right onto that faucet and take fall damage, but I grabbed a ledge so it didn't actually work out. I decided to jump in the lava instead. The reason I want to take damage so bad, I have to land again. It's because these faucets that I have to turn off are scattered so far around Mafia Town that it's faster to die after activating some of them than to backtrack all the way back to the other ones. So that's the first death. There'll be one more. I'm gonna jump right over this one. It's very important that you do this faucet last. Take fall damage. Not how it was intended, but okay. Yeah, this is one of the harder levels in Mafia Town because of all of these fall damages that you have to try to go for. This is the other 2 fall damage, and then I'll die again after I activate this faucet. I tried to do the thing where I walk off and hit at the same time so that I fall early, but I missed it, so I had to jump back off. Now I'll do this last faucet. That was pretty sloppy movement. I lost like around 10 seconds or more. Yeah, not the end of the world. And this is going to be the last level of Mafia Town for now. There will be one more that I'll be doing later, called Cheating the Race, but it costs 50 pawns, and I don't have that kind of money right now, so it's routed in at the end of the run. So I'm going to enter Barrel Battle because it's the closest spawn to where the time rift I need to go to is. It's right under where I am, so I can just fall down here, go right into it like that. And this also has a fast cycle that'll be going for it. It's a little harder than the first one because of the jump at the end, so I need to make sure my movement is clean. And I did get it, so that was a pretty nice bazaar. And now we're done with it for now. We're going to be going to SUBCON Forest after this last roulette. Once again, deny the hat so that we don't put it on. And now I need to explain the tricks that I'm going to be doing as soon as I enter SUBCON Forest. The first level, as soon as you get in, there's only one path available to you because there's these walls of fire that we have to get rid of, blocking all your paths. So basically, the game's forcing you to walk into a cutscene where you get trapped in a bag, and Snatcher talks to you, and it's really long. We don't like that. So we jump over the cutscene trigger with the momentum SDJ, which is SDJing within the first few frames that you land on the ground, so that you can jump SDJ again with the momentum that you had prior to landing on the ground. Because if I'm doing it on a tree branch, and if I were to try to SDJ off the tree branch alone, I wouldn't have enough room to walk around and build up speed to actually make this jump. So this is what it'll look like. And now I'm on the branch, those little ropes down there, jump right over him. And that's bag skip. It's one of the hardest tricks in the run, but gets a bit more consistent with practice. And I took fall damage there as I jumped down, because I'm going to be doing the first instance of an important trick in this run, death warping. Well, I missed a damage there. You can hit yourself with a cherry, so I'll have to just take one more extra damage, which is fine. But I want to end up at 1 health when I complete the level, so that I can die while I'm holding the timepiece. I'm basically going to throw a bomb right next to the timepiece, and then grab it. And what this will do is it'll give me the timepiece, but still respawn me in the level. And then I can immediately go on to the next one without having to return to the spaceship and enter it through the telescope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in this painting, and I'm going to take this cherry, take it up here, and that little yellow guy right in front of me is going to light the cherry on fire, or light it or whatever. And then I'm going to throw it in front of the timepiece, grab it, and then hopefully die. And I'll be doing this trick 2 more times in the run, but with different sources of dying for the other 2 times. And you'll see that later. There we go. So if you look at the bottom left, I still collect it. But I'm back at the beginning of the same level. Can immediately go on to the next level, however, because the loading zone for the next level is still here. SUJ up onto this tree, so I can get these 2 yarn. Then this is well skip. A little difficult to explain why it happens. It's just that slope and a few other slopes like that. When you dive into them, Hat Kid just goes straight up rather than bonking on them. For whatever reason, I don't know. And so you can just slide straight up that tree and end up in the well if you just hold left. And it saves a decent bit of time. And now we've collected the hook shot, which you just saw me use. That's one of the other main important things they'll be using in this run. And we can use it to do cool stuff like this. gonna blow down this wall, and the water's gonna come out, so we've cleared the well. So as this loading stops ending, it's gonna load a little cutscene with the timepiece flying out of the hole that we just came through. While it's a cutscene, I'm gonna buffer a dive and a jump, like that, because you can move around while it's happening, but for a very short time. My controller stopped responding, so let me use my keyboard real quick. There we go. And we're not going to enter this next level from the correct spot either, because the loading zone for it is also just in any level in SUBCON Forest, so... I'm going to be entering SUBCON Well, but going to VANESSA'S Manor. And the reason it's important to enter through SUBCON Well, and not through contractual obligations, even though you spawn in the exact same spot, SUBCON Well does not have this bag here because, like, even though the ropes are there, it assumes that you've already gone through the cutscene. So it doesn't make you do it another time if you loaded through this level. If I were to try to do that slide, and slide straight to where I need to, and contractual obligations, it would have just put me in the bag, which is not good. So you're supposed to grab those cherries, put them on these dwellers, blow up the ice walls, but you can luckily make it over every single one of them just by doing some good movement like this. Little areas like that are the places you'll start to see SDJs that aren't super big, important SDJs like the ones in the Golden Vault double dupe, but like just ones that are optimal for doing movement that I go for just because I'm consistent at them. So I'll have to watch out for little areas that I'm doing SDJs. You can just tell whenever I'm going as fast as if I were sprinting, but Hat Kid doesn't flip forward immediately as she jumps. Now we're in the Manor, which is a long and scary level. And I don't like scary levels, so I'm just gonna go in here and go to the end of it. Laying on top of this door, giving me a little trouble for some reason. Hello? And you can jump over this cutscene trigger. Which it's not a very long cutscene. It took me just about as long as the cutscene takes for me to get on top of the door, so whatever. But yeah. Now we're going to the third rift. Just like the theme of the other rifts I've done so far, I'm going to be going for a fast cycle. I need to dive boost off of a platform that goes up and down while it's still high enough that I can reach a hook shot that I need to grab onto right after. And if I don't, then I'll just kind of fall down into the void. Now we just do this. Okay, so the rest of this level isn't affected by that cycle. It's just that rising and lowering platforms that you need to make sure that you have your movement before entering. I'm gonna fly right into this timepiece. So that is my first CD, so I should explain it now. It's kinda weird to get it in this spot, but basically, there's an intruder alert right here, Intruder alerts happen whenever a new character from the story is put in your spaceship where you can go and talk to them. The first time you get a CD, it puts this little band of owls that you can go to play the CD that you just won from the roulette and go listen to them play it. The first time you get a CD, it plays that 3-second intruder alert cutscene. So it is a 3-second time loss when you get it, but it's not really like a bad instance of RNG, like, oh man, I got a CD and I'm gonna lose 3 seconds. It's like, it's because it's only a 3-second time loss the first time you get it, and usually people aren't expecting to go a whole run without getting a CD because it basically doesn't happen. Bounce on that spider's head, I can quickly make it onto that tower and enter the timer. This one also has a fast cycle, so might not make it. I was supposed to SG there, and I sprint jumped by accident, which doesn't mess me up there, but it messes me up when I get to this part, because I need to land on top of this blue peg. Okay, I landed onto it, but I had to add in a dive, which is slow. And you can jump on top of this bell straight to the timepiece without making that green platform there, like that. But I don't like that jump very much, so I always hit the bell to create the platform, just to be safe. And we got a hat, and I'm gonna put it on. Putting on sprint hat cosmetics and dyes are perfectly fine, because it doesn't require you to switch anything when you get back into the spaceship. And I like the ladybug hat a lot, so I'm gonna put it on. And this is one of 2 keyboard levels. I'm gonna be playing this level on mouse and keyboard, because I have to be shooting mail with my cursor, which is obviously harder and slower to move on a PS4 left stick than it would be on a mouse. So I gotta shoot at these guys like that. And then I'm gonna jump right here as I kill this last guy. Hopefully I can fall right into this timepiece, because when I finish this level, it pulls up my contract like that to show it that I completed. And then I can abuse the fact that it pulled up a pause screen during a cutscene and just quit out of it. So you can skip the timepiece cutscene there. Or at least a decent bit of it. I was a little slow on it, but that's fine. Oh yeah, and that's SUBCON. We're done with it for the whole run. Now we're entering Battle of the Birds. It's a pretty hard world. So this level doesn't have too many instances of hard cycles in it, but they're there. So basically, this is kind of stealth level. What I'm going to be doing is, hopefully, after I exit this vent, I hit all my movement right, and I should go in paths that avoid these red beams that get me caught and respawn me wherever I was before I got caught. So I dive boost through that one right as it goes away. I can just jump over this one, SDJ off this platform, go past that one, and this is fine. And the reason movement doesn't matter too much in the beginning, because these cycles don't start until the penguins are loaded. So right now I'm facing towards the wall, because there's a penguin up there. That cycle is going to be really important, because I want to jump right over him, like this. Because then I can come around here, grab 5 pawns, and I fell. It's not the end of the world though. If you jump down here, there's a loading zone, and you still end up in the room for a slight time loss. And now I'm going to get my passport. I wasn't entirely sure that I wanted to do it, but there's a possibility that a kind of donation incentive thing could be that I draw some kind of face on there really quick, because it wouldn't take too long. But I've thought of other ideas that I've liked better, such as doing like a post-game Alpine showcase, which is the one really cool world that I don't get to show off in this run. So, this next level, Murder on the AliExpress, I'm gonna enter it. I enter it now, and I enter it in a couple levels later in the run to play a time rift. Each time I enter them, I'm gonna start out on mouse and keyboard, because there are these crows that like to talk to you and ask you questions, so that, and whatever you answer, it'll like put it in certain places of the story. Like, they'll ask you names, and then it'll put names on those characters and stuff like that. If I have mouse and keyboard, rather than pulling up a keyboard that you have to scroll through with your left stick on controller, if you're playing on keyboard, it's nice and just lets you type in the name on your keyboard. So, I can just submit my name as E, and then immediately finish it, rather than having to push X on my PS4 controller on one of the letters, then scrolling to the other side of the keyboard, and hitting enter to complete it. And that's the only time I do it, because that's the only owl that you can't avoid talking to, or crow, rather. And this is a pretty long level, even though there's a massive sequence break that I'm about to do right here. Normally you have to go collect tons of keys in this level, open a bunch of different doors, find evidence and stuff like that. This button is reachable from right here, which unlocks this and makes the last room of the level available to us already. This is still a 2.5 minute level, but otherwise it'd be a lot longer. That's a pretty big skip. Whenever you do that sequence break, the first time you walk into that room, it doesn't play the music, and nothing happens for a few seconds. You kind of just have to stand there and wait, because if you try to go to the door and continue normally, it'll just put you back at the start of the room where you were before it started anyway. So I can kind of just stand there and blow a kiss at the camera or do whatever I feel like. And that's the end of the level. You don't need to actually grab any evidence pieces to do it. If you don't give any, it just defaults it to the conductor. So the conductor is forced to be the killer in this run. So yeah, kind of a straightforward level. Now I'm going into the DJ Groove side of the story. I'm going to be playing Picture Perfect. Both of DJ Groove's levels are on the moon, and they have low gravity, which doesn't really help or hurt anything. We're kind of just used to it, but it is pretty annoying. It makes some jumps possible in the next level that we do, but otherwise it's kind of just a nuisance. Dive boost off of this railing. And I missed it, but that's what it should have been. Jeez. Yeah, there are a couple... I have some time save on this level, because there are a couple pretty hard dive boosts that I go for now. And I bonked on pretty much all of them, like you saw. I'm equipping the brewing hat and jumping right into the timepiece, because as soon as I finish this level, I'm going to be going to Gallery, which is one of the 2 time rifts that we'll be doing that are not in a world on their own, but in the spaceship, so... I'm gonna break some boxes with the brewing hat, unlock this room right here. There's one more time rift like that we'll be doing right before finale, and I need the ice hat to enter it, so it's at the end. Wall jump off of there high enough and you can hit a checkpoint which skips going around that whole thing. And you can just end up on top of it. SGJ off that platform, you can go straight to here. Another SGJ here, and another one here. And SGJ there to jump over the thing. That's a pretty fast level due to the movement exploits of the sprint hat allowing you to skip past so much stuff. And as of Picture Perfect, I've already had all of the yarn that I need for the run. I just haven't made the ice hat yet because a good opportunity to do it is at the end of Train Rush, where there's a short little cutscene. And after that, we're done with hats for the run. The movement in this level is a little tricky. It's kind of hard to explain as you're going through it because this is a fast-paced level and it's easy to screw a lot of things up. I'm gonna go for an SGJ to this platform above here. Barely made it. Do another SGJ. You can land on there. Now I'm entering the last room. This one is probably the hardest of them, just because it's so easy to bump into something or get blown up by the various bombs that are being thrown at you. It's just a really fast-paced panel. But it turned out just fine. Now I'm gonna craft that hat. And that's all the hats that we'll be making for the run. So that was an alright train rush. And now I'll be going to the Time Rift and Murder where I have to use keyboard again. Even though I've been talking about fast cycles and stuff like that for all of the time rifts I've been going into, this is one of the most important cycle-based time rifts in the run. And I am good on pawns. I'll need 210 total for the rest of the run. Because I have to do 150, or no, just 200, I mean. Okay, so I can make it over to this platform. SGJ right away, make it to this one. Then by doing a slanted dive boost there, I can barely make it to that panel. So that's why the cycles are so important, because taking too slow and having to start on a different panel take a while longer, and also means that you don't get to here right in time. So that's the fastest cycle that you can do for the level. So is a pretty solid L Express. And now coming up is Parade. this is a pretty long level, and this level is other than Barrel Battle. Well, no, even bigger than Barrel Battle for break times and donations, stuff like that. About, like, so much time in the level is just auto-scroller, so, like, basically, DJ Grooves gives these different objectives for you to do, and there's, like, a long clock that's ticking down before you can actually start doing them. The first one isn't an auto-scroller because I'm going to be using this first time. Okay, so he's going to give me this thing, and that starts the level. So, you can't see it because my live split, I just realized that, but there's a clock at the bottom right that's ticking that whenever it finishes, then these switches will turn on. Well, the second objective involves this green float right here. This green float just circles around this general area, but only whenever it's loaded, so when I'm close to it or looking at it and stuff like that. So I'm going to be getting all of the pawns around this level because I need them, but in a certain pattern so that the float moves just enough that it ends up where I want it. So, not that the pawns route that I'm getting is the fastest way to do them, but it's that it puts the float where I need it to be. So this part is actually important. It's not really auto-scroller. There's a couple of seconds of doing nothing right here. It's gonna tick in like 2 more seconds. And now. And now this part is actually timed, so I gotta go hit these switches real quick. Oops, okay. Whatever. So that was pretty big time loss. Also, what am I doing? Okay. Yeah, that was really not good, but the manipulation ended up the same, so it shouldn't be run killing or anything like that, just sloppy movement. And now this is the part where nothing happens. We've already collected all the pawns except for these, and we don't want to move the float anymore. So we're gonna wait on this building until it finishes. So I can, if I wanted to, I could just sit here, do nothing for the whole time, but obviously that's not ideal to do in a marathon. I still need to be on this building though for the route, so I guess I can do stuff like bounce on their heads or hit them with umbrellas or whatever. Try to be entertaining like I was in Barrel Battle when nothing's happening. But at the end of the day, this is donation time, really. And you'll be able to see how much time you have whenever it's not me running it, because my live split won't be in the way. But basically, what I'm going to set up for, this is the other death warp level that I was talking about. I'm going to have one of these owls, like you saw earlier, he hit me and sent me flying in the other direction. They do a lot of knockback when they hit you, and I'm going to use that to have him send me flying from on top of a pole right into the timepiece while dead. So once again, I can pick up a timepiece and respawn back at the beginning of the level. And after I beat this level, it unlocks a time rift that's also located in this level. So I can just go straight to it, and it saves like 14 or 15 seconds. So I'm going to take 1 more damage here, put on the ice hat to lock myself still, where I need to do the setup. Now I'm at 1 health. I'm going to stand right here. And this is kind of a scary trick because of all the missiles that are flying around and stuff like that. So I'm going to do is right before the timer runs out, I'm going to get out of my ice hat, jump up, and tap forward just a tiny bit. And it'll put me so that it'll knock me straight forward, right into that timepiece which I'm angled towards. So hopefully it'll work out. Yep, that was good. Okay, so now we're back in the parade. We're gonna enter straight into this time rift. Like that. And because this is themed like the parade, the owls are still gonna be following us, and we'll be able to do it again. So I'm gonna take some damage here real quick. And now I'm at 1 health. That's a big SGJ there. It's important to hit, because if you screw it up, it puts you in a really dangerous situation due to being at 1 health. There's a harder one coming up here. I'm gonna do an SGJ right as this platform rises. I did not SGJ. I got the momentum from the rising platform, but I didn't get the speed from the SGJ. I could have gone a lot farther, and I could have jumped all the way from that platform to that gate that I just climbed on top of, and skip having to walk on the ground entirely. And it saves a bit of time. So pretty simple, I just stand in front of it that time, he bonks me right into it, and that level's over. And now we're going to enter the finale, but a nice thing about this level for the run is that this finale gives you 2 timepieces. You have to do this thing, and this level basically decides the winner of the story that you just played through. So for me, the conductor one, which is good, because his text is faster than DJ Grooves is in this level. And so after this, after we've done this, it's decided that the boss fight for this world will be the conductor, and it's going to give me a phone call, and it's going to say like, hey, go back to Deadbird Studio, there's something crazy going on, you gotta find it. Well, we don't have to, because we have enough timepieces, so we kinda just snagged that one for free. And now we're going back to Mafia Town for cheating the race, because we have money for it now. This level is not too bad with the correct strats, but it's pretty difficult when you're starting out the game for the first time to do. Basically, there's a time stop hat that slows everything down, that makes it super easy for people that are playing this game casually to race this guy to the end without losing to him, since he goes so fast. But with good movement, we can go faster, like this. We're gonna turn around. We're not even going the way of the race, because there's a cannon back here that takes us right to the other side of the island, near where the finish is. So now we're right behind him. Dive boost here. Slide on the rail. That's all there is to it. And now for the 25th timepiece. This is the other part where Ice Hat comes in. You can't go up this slide without that. It like knocks you down if you try to go up it, so. You can clip out of bounds and get into it, but it's longer than just making the Ice Hat anyway and going into it like intended. There's a kind of important fast cycle here, but it's not that hard to beat. Yeah. It's pretty lenient. I messed up stuff there and still made it, so this should be fine. Dive boost into the ledge. Grab it. Now we're done with everything except for finale. I guess I'll take that color, even though I don't like it that much, because I haven't got a color dye all run. So
here we go.
So yeah, so this is the trigger that I was talking about, 25 timepieces. That's the only way to make this level show up. So now we're in this little sequence where we are Mustache Girl, we're gonna go mess with the Hat Kid's vault, use all the timepieces to do evil things, and create the bad level that is finale. Little sloppy movement there, but that's okay. So we stand on the platform as it goes up. Normally we would fall down by the time it gets back, but you can just hold mash jump like that and make it up the thing and skip an extra cycle of the platform. So all of this is part of finale skip. You need a hat that I never made to be able to go there, and that's why it says you won't be able to complete this level right there with that little lock. It's the same thing it gave me for cheating the race, because it thinks I'm supposed to have the time stop hat to beat that one. I need the dweller hat to beat this. There's a giant barrier that I need to have the dweller hat to make disappear in this level. And I also need it to get over that gate that I just got, but you can just jump over it like that. But the main thing is that now at this point in the run, if you're here without dweller hat, you have to do finale skip, which is the out of bounds clip. So it's right here, and it's not that hard to get into. There's kind of just a hole in the wall like that. You can just bounce through it like that. Now, I climb up in this little gap in the wall. And soon I'll be on top of the level. Okay, that was a little weird. Normally it doesn't look like that, but that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to be riding on the very edge of the surface because the fastest speed that Hat Kid can reach is falling after sliding off of something for a certain amount of time. So sliding on the edge of this will be the fastest way of riding on top of this level. Bad part is there's invisible walls that I gotta slide right through, and it's hard to explain because you can't see them and they're so particular, but it'll look like this. That's one of them. If you hold left when you go through them, then you won't bonk off, and they're on these little brown arches. Now I gotta jump over a hole. There is no floor there where I just jumped over, so that's a pretty scary jump. And messing it up kills your run, pretty much. If you were running at home. For a marathon run, it'd just lose some decent time. And if I were to miss it a single time, I probably wouldn't go for it a second time, just because it loses so much, but it isn't that bad. I usually get it first try. And now we gotta go back in bounds, start the fight, so we're gonna jump into this little loading zone right here, and that's finale skip. And now we're in the boss fight. So you can abuse the fact that for some attacks, rather than teleporting, she just jumps away or takes a while like that. If you just mash the umbrella, because it slows down the game for a minute when you hit her, you can just keep mashing it and she'll keep getting damage before she can even get away from it. So it's kind of luck-based, but getting it in only 2 attacks is pretty good luck, so starting off pretty good. There's a lot of RNG in this fight. Those attacks where she jumps up in the air, you're supposed to just dodge the things that she throws down and wait for her to come down and then hit her with the umbrella. But having the brewing hat, you can make it just high enough for all of those attacks to still be able to hit her. Like that one. And the point of this phase is that the phases change as she keeps introducing new abilities like this cherry. That one was like, basically she starts teleporting away right when you reach her. But she doesn't teleport whenever she does the attack where she's in the air, because the game doesn't think you can make it to her until she's on the ground. So it forces you to use the MAFIA ball, but you can skip using it 2 times. This is a cherry phase. So whether or not she does a normal attack, or does an attack where you have to throw a cherry at her like this, is RNG. Okay, so that was pretty good luck. I could have got another double hit there. I didn't buffer it because I didn't think it would happen, but wow, that was really good RNG. So that was a 2 cherry, and I got a double hit. So that was really fast. It's a pretty good boss fight. Basically kind of similar to the first phase where she takes too long to start her other attacks. If you throw a brewing hat at her and dive at her at the same time, the brewing hat will hit her, and then you'll still be diving towards her as she starts up her next attack, and you can kind of hit her right before she goes into the next one. There was another one that I missed that I could have gone for, but I didn't go for it because I didn't realize that you could even get 2 of them in a row. This final phase is hard to explain, and it's cycle-based, but basically I have to predict when she does the shockwave attack and go for a double hit, and go for dives on all the others. So hopefully she doesn't do it here. Okay. That's not ideal RNG, but that was still okay. The reason you want to get a double hit on the shockwave attack is just because it takes so long to get to. It's kind of hard to hit. But that was still a really good final phase. So yeah, that is Hat in Time 90%. The timer is going to end as soon as I pick up this timepiece. that's it. There were a decent amount of mistakes scattered throughout that run, but pretty solid overall. I've been playing pretty consistent recently thanks to a lot of practice, but my PB for that category is 46:28 in game time, so 46:47 is not bad. Getting 46s in marathon runs would be my ideal goal. And in terms of performance in my marathon runs and meeting my estimate and stuff like that, my estimate is 57, and 57 is 49.5 minutes on my computer. But my computer also has really bad loads, and loading time is the reason we don't run this game in RTA, because it varies a ton. I lose nearly 2 minutes worth of loading time to other runners, and I'm assuming if I were playing this game in a marathon on a much better computer than mine, I would have better loading times. So it makes the estimate that I beat just now by 2.5 minutes even easier to beat, basically. The reason I'm safe with it, though, is just because this run was good because I didn't miss any of the tricks, like the death warps, or the finale skip, that lose, like, a minute if you screw them up. So, like, just getting unlucky, you can play well, miss finale slides, end up getting a mid-48 instead, so that's why I have my estimated as safe time anyway. But yeah, that is a Hat in Time any %. Thank you for watching.